Wait, there was an error. All right, welcome to my Military Appreciation Month celebration. I'm Lacey Langford, the military money expert. I help the military community make, save, and invest money wisely. I'm an Army brat, an Air Force veteran, a mil spouse, and I'm an accredited financial counselor. Throughout the month of May, I'm doing a series of events to provide value and show my appreciation for the military community, which is like family. I'll be doing a live show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the month where I'll interview fun guests on military life, money, and entrepreneurship. Every Tuesday this month, I'm doing a giveaway, which right now you could win. I have 5 available free self t-shirts, very, very pretty blue. I'm just a big fan of that. And every Thursday, I'm releasing a how-to video on various topics. This week, I released how to start a business in the military. So if you haven't had a chance, check that out. So to find out the latest, you can follow me on social media. We'll have all of the activities. And I want to say thank you. My Military Appreciation Month celebration is supported by Self. More than 1 million people have used Self's credit builder accounts to build their credit and savings. You can learn more about Self and the work they do at self.inc. All right, now it's time. It's time for my guest, Nick Bradfield. Nick is a dad, hubby, sergeant of Marines, recovering fintech entrepreneur, small-time angel investor, but he's aspiring to be a big-time angel investor. A guy who has been helped by many and wants to pay it forward. Nick has spent his career honing the leadership traits taught in the military, technical skills learned via formal education, and business acumen acquired on the job in the financial services and technology sectors. He is now the program director of Bunker Labs. He is a friend, and I'm so excited to have him on the show. So make sure wherever you at, where if you're on the treadmill, in a coffee shop, clap really loud and welcome Nick to the show. Hey Nick, how are you?
What's up, Lacey? I'm well. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you could do this. I'm excited, and I knew Nick would wear his shirt, and so I wanted us to be matching. So I thought I would surprise him.
An embarrassing red carpet moment for sure.
Yes.
Who wore it better? Who wore it better? It's going to be all over page 6 tomorrow.
It's so funny because most things I do just to humor myself. And I was actually laughing when I was pulling this shirt out. So I was excited that I got to wear a t-shirt today.
Well, it goes in with the theme of uniform, right? With the military.
Yes.
This is our uniform of the day, the bunker t-shirt.
This is true. I have something I'm going to totally surprise you with, and I've been waiting. I wanted to talk to you about it. So I was on a panel for Bunker Labs muster back, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I received a package with some swag from Bunker for being in the muster. And I have to tell you, I got this pen from Bunker Labs. And I have been to a lot of conferences. I've received a lot of swag. And I have to tell you, this is the best swag pen I've ever received. It has the perfect point. It writes awesome. I have horrible penmanship. I feel like it's working a miracle on me. But it was so excited. I actually reached out to your team and was like, where did you buy the pens?
Awesome.
Because Shelby was kind enough to get back to me and she gave me the link because I'm getting ready to have branded stuff made for the Military Money Show. And I have a trucker cap that I'm getting produced. I'm now going to get Military Money Show pens produced. So I am totally copying Bunker Labs. I just wanted you to know it.
Awesome. Well, I know a guy who can get you another pen if that one runs out of ink.
It was actually so you guys actually sent me 2, and I told my husband, I was like, you could take this one to work, or you could use this one, but don't touch the one in my office.
So I'm going to blow your mind here. What color ink does it write?
It writes black.
We have some that also write in orange.
Do you really? Okay. Yes.
Pen drop.
Yes.
Pen drop.
I'm blown. Yes. I want one. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there right now.
All right. We'll see what I can do.
But they really are. I got this. I was like, this is the best pen I've ever. And I've received some really nice ones. This one is my fave. And I like the thickness of the pen. It's perfect. So huge fan. And shout out to Shelby for hooking me up with the deets so I could order my own.
Absolutely. You need to get commissions from that pen company for sure. You're like the best salesperson ever for it.
I know, I know. It's not sponsored by who made these. So, but yes, that I'm very impressed. I just wanted you to know that that's legit. I have a list of Lacey's favorite things. This has now made the list, along with my battery tester. Do you have one of those?
I do not.
It's,
I was
it's
always
the
told to test the battery, you lick it, and if it shocks you, then it's still good.
oh, oh my god, that's
No,
like
is that no? Like
no,
okay,
no, that's not how you do it. I have this little battery tester because I hate it when I find a loose battery in my house because then it's like, is this a good battery? Is it not? And batteries are expensive. And I'm not just throwing them out. So I have this like $6. So I'm able to test. I'm like a battery testing fool. If I see
I,
one, I'm like, oh, gotta test it. Gotta test it.
you and my wife need to talk. In the drawer right behind me, there's 7,000 batteries, and I have no idea if any of them work.
Oh my gosh, after we get off, I'm giving you the link to get her this battery tester.
Yeah.
It is best present ever. I give everybody, like my whole family, I've given one. So everybody has their own battery tester. So big,
At
also not
Christmas,
sponsored by the battery. Yes.
they're like, sweet
Yes. Yes.
battery tester.
Yes. Okay. Okay. But it really is sweet pen. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I want to ask you, since we've already hinted at Bunker Labs, what is Bunker Labs and how does it help the military community with entrepreneurship?
Great question. So, Bunker Labs is a nationwide nonprofit. Our mission is to help the military community start and grow businesses. So, we do that by building an ecosystem so people don't have to do things on their own. They can plug into their local communities. And then we have various programs uh, for businesses, whether they're in idea stage or a little bit further along, looking for product market fit, or even if they're looking to grow, we have different programs for each stage of business, and they're all free to the communities we serve.
And what are some of the programs? Because you guys, I feel like you keep adding more value. Where does it kind of start and does it evolve?
Awesome. Yeah, great question. So it starts with Launch Lab Online. You can find that on our website, bunkerlabs.org, and you can find out more about all of our programs on there as well. But Launch Lab Online really answers the question, hey, I have an idea, is it worth pursuing? So in the middle of the night, you come up with a crazy idea that's a pen that also does battery testing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
And so you put that, you take that idea and put it through Launch Lab Online, and you kind of go through like a one-page business plan, like who's your customer, will they pay for it, is it really a problem that is real, or is it just a crazy idea you came up with at 2 a.m? And so in theory, you check the box, you say, yes, it is an idea worth pursuing, and then you start building it. And we have several courses that we're working on that can help you with all of the things that go into building it, and then you apply for our veteran residence program. So our veteran residence program is a 6-month cohort. We have a national partnership with WeWork, so it's geography-based cohorts. We do have some virtual ones also, and the goal in there is to find product market fit. So you have weekly huddles with the people who you're in your local group with, and you go through a critical questions exercise and work through what's going on in your business, and you kind of crowdsource the ideas with the local group. And then we have monthly master classes with subject matter experts that have been there and done that and have had a ton of success around marketing and sales and things like that. And then at the end of the 6 months, hopefully you come out with some great connections as well as more fine-tuned product market fit. Our last program is called CEO Circle, and it's a similar model to the veteran residence program, except it's industry based, and it's for companies that are a little bit further along. They're looking to grow, and it's industry based, so it's virtual. It's all over the country, and there you have monthly huddles instead of weekly huddles, and then quarterly master classes.
Yes. I just started in the CEO circle.
You did, yes, you
Yes.
did. You're in the podcast CEO circle, which is
Yes.
awesome. All kinds of knowledge in that one.
It is. I'm really excited to see where it goes because it's not just my niche. It's, people that are beyond the military, mine's military and money, but also people that have video experience, advertising experience, just all these other valuable skill sets beyond podcasting. So that's the part I'm really excited about.
I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, we kind of tossed it out there. I mean, these first few industries that we looked at we handpicked the people. So, I mean, you were handpicked to be in there. So thank you for being a part of it. It was really interesting to me because we were seeing, is this going to be something that people are interested in? I know a lot of people have a podcast that they use as kind of lead gen for their business, but as we dove into it, we found people who were doing podcasting as a business, and that was really cool to get all of you guys together and just kind of see where it evolved.
Yes, I can't wait to see and just learn, because there's just the little stuff that you pick up,
Yeah,
whether it's your efficiency, something that a tool or resource that you can use that would make it easier to manage your business, or personal life, because that's the other part. We're all juggling families and regular life in a
yeah,
business, and like for me, it's all in one house.
yeah.
So it's a lot, but I'm excited about it. So more to come on that. We'll have to
Speaking
do
of it
another.
all being in one house, the door is shut in here right now, but my 10-year-old doesn't know that
Yeah,
like he might just walk in here and start juggling a soccer ball. So
that's cool, but it might be
fingers crossed.
global like that. Do you remember the guy that was like on the BBC and his daughter like came dancing in the background, and then the wife was like slides in a panic to snatch the kid out? That one's the best.
I can call him in here if you want, but I don't think it'll be quite as viral.
Yes. Well, I sent you a personality profile, which I thought I would just wanted to get your 2 cents on it. So it's
Yeah.
um I interviewed this guy, Tom Corley. He wrote the book Rich Habits, Poor Habits, and he has these 4 paths to wealth. And one of them is dreamer entrepreneur, that path. And he was saying in their personality traits that you have to have a high risk tolerance, you have to be highly competitive, high stress tolerant, a strong work ethic, good multitasker, and creative to be an entrepreneur. And he said that people could become an entrepreneur, but they may struggle for a long time or the whole time and end up ultimately leaving entrepreneurship. So I was just curious what you thought about it, since you deal with it. You're an entrepreneur yourself.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I mean, obviously, the military community has a lot of the traits that you mentioned there. And I took some notes. Where's my camera? Took some notes. So the high risk part, I think I kind of have yes and answers to all of this. Isn't that what you're supposed to say as a consultant? Yes and instead of no but.
Yeah.
So high risk, yes, a high tolerance for risk. At the same time, the smart ones are going to plan it out and de-risk it as much as possible. So things like you talk about a lot, like that that first X amount of time, you need money coming in from somewhere else. So you
Yeah.
can de-risk that by keeping your day job and building something on the side, so you have some income coming in. So yes, willing to take the risk is a really big deal, and the smart ones who really go far figure out how to plan ahead and de-risk that. The second piece, highly competitive. Uh, yes, and is going to be my answer to all of these. So yes, highly competitive. Definitely strive to be the best, and believe in the power of collaboration. So believe that they can't do everything themselves, and there may be someone in an adjacent industry or someone similar that they could actually partner with and work as a team and grow exponentially more than they could on their own.
Yeah.
High stress, yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster every day. I mean,
Yes.
anybody who's ever done any sort of entrepreneurial venture will agree with that.
Sometimes I think I'm bipolar. Like I will be so
Yeah,
happy in the morning, and like 2 hours later I will be like crying, like what has happened to my
yeah,
day?
and that's like every hour. It's just like this constant roller coaster of like, greatest thing in the world. Oh my God, what have I done? Greatest thing in the world.
Yes. Up,
Uh,
down, up, down, up,
yeah,
down.
and that's usually like before breakfast, you know. So,
Yes.
uh, so yeah, definitely, it's an emotional roller coaster. Again, the smart ones find an outlet for that stress and don't try to do it on their own. You know, they get in CEO circle type things. They get in groups that can help them not do it on an island. Strong work ethic, of course. Um, at the same time, so yes, and to that as well, you have to have your non-negotiables. There's a guy who I don't know if you went to this particular session at Muster over the years, but there was a guy, Randy Nelson, randyhnelson.com is his website if anybody wants to see it. But he's one of the more successful entrepreneurs that I've met, and he's built and sold multiple businesses and had a ton of success. And the thing he talks about in his books is you have to have your non-negotiables. So yes, work hard, and don't let it completely ruin your family. So you have to have it, whatever your non-negotiable is. Maybe it's coaching your kid in Little League, or maybe it's breakfast with the family, or dinner, or whatever. Knowing that you can get back on and finish your work when you need to, that's important. But you have to have your non-negotiables, otherwise you'll just burn out.
Yeah.
Good multitaskers, absolutely. I mean, at first you're doing everything. When you're a one-person show, you're doing every single task. So you have to be a good multitasker. And when you get to the point where you're able to, you need to quickly outsource the things that you're not good at.
Yeah.
So that you can be better at the things that you are good at. And the last one, creative, absolutely. I would also add to that adaptive. So
Yeah.
in the military, we're very comfortable moving forward with an 80% solution and then adapting to whatever happens after that. So I think creative and adaptive is, I thought that was pretty interesting, but those are my yes ands to all of the traits there.
Well, I actually, when he told me about this at first, I was like, oh man, what if I don't have all the personality traits? And is he telling me my business is going to fail? But when I went through, I have all of those things. And I think you're dead on about the creative and adaptive is the thing to add for the military. I actually say that in my head. It's 80% Lacey, like you got to go.
Yep.
Like you can't perfect it. And that's a thing I think that slowed me down a lot in the beginning, was trying to get it to 100% or better. Actually I'm trying to get it to 110, but now I tell myself, get it to 80 and later we'll work on 100, because that's a lot of things that you put out. You can still fine tune them, whether that's your sales copy, your product, you could always improve that as well. Your services, you can always improve, but if you never get them out there, then you're not even going to have the opportunity to get feedback to be better. So even when I publish stuff on my website, if there's I worry about typos, but I'm like, you know what? Somebody can proofread that for me. I'll go ahead and publish it. And if there's a mistake, they'll let me know. And, you just can't wait for 100%.
That means somebody read it too, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's so true.
But thank you for reading that.
Yes. I also went to a mastermind once, and we were playing in this house. It had a game room. It was a massive house that we were all in. And there was foosball, there was pool, there was ping pong, like all this stuff. And I realized we were all entrepreneurs, but we were highly competitive. Like everybody was trying to win. It was so much fun. But when I read this, I thought about that mastermind trip, and I was like, that is so true. We were all very competitive. A few maybe, didn't want to play, but for the majority of us, it was like, oh no, we're playing to win. Like this isn't,
absolutely.
This isn't a friendly game.
Yeah. We can be friends afterwards.
Right. Yes. We'll have a drink after this, but right now I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting and a tool people can use to say, hey, I don't have a strong work ethic. I need some maybe motivation to get me moving in the morning. Entrepreneurship might not be the thing for you. So it's just food for thought, I think, for people.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. I want to ask you, what are some common struggles that you see? Because you're around a lot of entrepreneurs when it comes to starting a business. What's the biggest or top two that are a problem?
The two I think are the biggest are idea and funding. And so the two pieces of that are, so the idea piece is your idea actually solving a problem? The pen that can test batteries, is that actually solving a problem? Or is it just kind of some cool widget?
Yeah.
If a cool widget could work, but to really have success, you need to be solving a problem that has a real pain for somebody. So that's one, is not really identifying who that target avatar is that you're solving the problem for, and just laser focused on solving that problem for that target avatar. The second one is funding, and I say that like kind of jokingly, and that's going to come off wrong, but I call it the Shark Tank effect. So every single day, I get connected with somebody who's looking to raise money. And Bunker has this great ecosystem, and we know a whole bunch of investors, and we can absolutely put people in contact with investors when they're ready. So in the Shark Tank effect, I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows. But people think that you're going to pitch an idea and then somebody's going to hand you a check, and that's not the case. So I tend to roll my eyes every time I get one of those introductions, and like I think, yes, you might need funding, but I'll make an intro for you. A year from now, you might get a check, but oh, by the way, let's figure out how you can make traction between now and the next year,
Yeah.
because that's going to be more important. And who knows, maybe you make enough traction where you don't even need to raise money. But if you can get funding through customers, that's a whole lot better than getting funding through venture capital.
Yes. Plus you keep ownership.
Yeah. And so the funding piece is really more around people thinking they need to raise money versus actually needing to raise money.
Yeah. I was actually just had an interview for my podcast, and I interviewed my friend. She's a blogger, and asking her, what should people be spending their money on? Because that's one thing that I think I struggle with in the beginning, is spending money on the wrong things or not spending money on the things I should actually be investing in. And
Yeah.
that's really hard because there's so many things to do when you're starting your business, but you have to be very mindful of your money to not overspend and waste it, versus those things like, I don't know, for example, we're talking about email platform, and me going cheap on using MailChimp or something like that versus paying for one. I actually would have had tutorials and all of these other value that would have helped me grow my list sooner than had I
Mm-hmm.
just used a free version. So it's really looking at the pros and cons to say, is this going to make me money? Is like the question I always ask myself, like,
Yeah.
is it going to make me money? And I love that you said about solving the problem. I have a sticky that I keep on my computer that says, what problem do you solve for them? So
That's
like when I'm
awesome.
writing something or creating something, or when I'm creating an idea for a podcast episode, I think, what problem does that solve for people? If I'm having this
Yep.
guest on, what are we going to talk about that's solving a problem? So I'm all about that,
Yep.
providing value to people.
On the spending money piece, have you read the book Profit First?
Yes, I'm a huge
I
fan.
I love that, and I think
Yes.
that's another thing that people probably get wrong, is they like spend a bunch of money at first, and they should kind of flip that recipe and say like, no, let's pay myself first, and then figure out what I actually have to spend versus spend first and figure out what I actually have to keep. I think that's
Yes.
I love that concept.
Yes, and that way you can be in it for the long haul, that you have the money set aside and that you're always
Yeah.
making a profit. Because things I didn't think about in the beginning, I think about now is, one, is that going to make me money? And how much am I going to get to keep of that? What are my
Yep.
expenses involved in that? So the way I look at my podcast is, every show I produce costs me money, through
Yep.
editing, through VA help. I have to create graphics, all of these things. And so I have to pay taxes. So at the end, what is Lacey going to take home per episode? I want to be making money too, not just, my editor and all the other people that I pay. It's like
Absolutely.
Lacey wants to make a profit off of this. And so I think breaking it down like that is very helpful to say, when I produce this one product, when I produce this one service, what are all the other components that go into it so I can still make money? So, but
Yeah.
I think funding is a big one for a lot of people. And the idea, because that's too, is like fine tuning it. It's like you have a general idea, but
Yep.
can you make money at that? Does it help somebody, like you said, solve a problem? So, okay. I want to ask you, next week, the theme for my Military Appreciation Month celebration is preparing for transition. And so I thought I would sneak in a question with you, because I thought you would have good advice on this. Is, what is one thing you wish you would have done differently when you're separating from the Marines that could have better prepared you for civilian life or entrepreneurship?
I would have reached out to a community of people that understood me and that I don't just say that as a plug for Bunker.
Yeah.
Transitioning is hard, and even if you're set up for success when you walk out of whatever base you're on, it still is hard. And I didn't embrace being a veteran right when I got out. I got out and I wanted to kind of like get away for a little bit, and then I found myself around people who didn't understand me and like all of these things, and it was hard. And so when I would react a certain way to something and people wouldn't understand, it took me several years to embrace the community that is like one of the most powerful communities out there. So whether that's through something like Bunker or like a community organization or just getting together with other people that are connected to the military, you share a common bond, and you don't have to try to get a job on your own. You don't have to try to start a business on your own. You don't have to like give back to the community on your own. Like surround yourself with people who understand you. However you do it, I think
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier.
I totally agree with that. I think that also the time for me, I wish I would have prepared a lot earlier, like a year or two out, because
Oh
I think the
yeah,
one thing is people don't understand the playing field. And the further out you go, you can start to understand the playing field. So if you start, like you said, reaching out to community, like if you wanted to go into entrepreneurship on active duty, you should be going to Bunker Labs Brews, like meet up,
yeah,
see what it's about. Like you don't have to have a business yet. You could just start to understand, hey, these are some things I saw people talking about that are problems. And this is
yep,
people that have products or services. This is what venture capital is. You start to understand the playing field. So the day you walk out, you know where you're going to play and you know how you're going to
absolutely,
play.
yep,
So that is something I wish I would have done different. But I like that too, that you mentioned the military veteran community. It really is powerful, and rising tides lift all ships. And
absolutely.
I think if you don't take advantage of that, that's you're losing out. Not that you can't find success without the veteran community, but it's just we might be able to help you get there faster.
Yep.
Yeah. So I love that. Okay. What is what was the peak of your military service, and what was the pit of your military service?
Uh, Peak of my time in the Marine Corps was being a sergeant, and it was where you're high enough up where you have the respect of the higher ups, and your voice is heard by the higher ups, but you're not high enough where you're removed from the teams and you're still involved uh, in interacting with your team, which I loved. The pit was, you see some things in other countries that are where people are not being treated right, and I mean sometimes you see them here too, but especially in other places, we saw some things that are just not how you want to treat people, and that's kind of hard to process stuff.
Yes, that is a big thing with service members getting out. Is I forget what they call. Is it moral corruption, or it's like the exposure to morality that's not good?
Yeah,
That the way they treat children or women or just general life, animals, all these
yeah,
things is not something that people are exposed to, and how you would handle that exposure in the United States versus how you would handle it overseas, I think is hard sometimes for
yeah,
people. Yeah.
definitely.
So I mean, not that, but it is an actual, I think, not a diagnosis, but it is a thing that people are now putting a name on and able to help more with.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. My brother schooled me up on that. So but I didn't know it was a thing. And he was explaining to me, he's like, yes, this is a thing that, cause some people they're, pilots. So they're seeing it from above. So they're not
Right.
actually down there, but they're still having that mental impact of it. So just very interesting stuff. So I could see that definitely is a pit.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think the peaks far outweigh the pit sometimes. That, there's good and bad.
It's what you focus on. It's what it's what you make of it, like in everything else. I remember interviewing people in a prior life where uh, if they were a veteran, I'd automatically give them an interview most
Yeah.
times just because I wanted to hear about their experience, and I would say, tell me a little bit about your time in blah 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 service. And if they had a negative response, I would be like, oh, you're done, because it's everybody could have
That's
a negative response to
yeah, you're
anything.
right.
But I remember being in with a guy who was, I was like, hey, guy, how's it going today? And he's like, oh, I've got 987 in a wake up. And I'm like, oh my God, why would you count that long? And I'm like, all right, you go be miserable. I'm going to go hang out with these guys and like come up with a bunch of crazy stories.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. And that's a really great interview technique, because that's a huge turnoff for me,
Yeah.
negativity. It's like, yeah, I got plenty of negative stuff going on in life and
Yep.
business, like, but I'm trying to focus on the good and in hopes of drawing more of that in, not the other
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Like
that's a
I
good.
want to hear I want to hear the things that made you laugh, because I know there were a bunch of things that made you laugh while you were in, and I want to hear those stories. And
Yes, the
yeah,
pranks.
the
That's
pranks. I want to hear the pranks, because that's the gold.
my favorite. My husband, we actually used to work together when we first started dating, and they,
Scandalous.
yes, and they would put they were crew chiefs, but they would put, I don't know even know what it was, but it was some type of grease that they would put on the plane, and they would put it on the phones. So whenever we would pick up the phone, they would, or they would saran wrap, I think, their keyboards. So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that that's one part I appreciated about the military was pranks. That
Yeah.
was, or asking a new airman to go find 50 yards of flight line, and so they don't
Yes.
understand, like, I'm saying the flight line.
Yeah. Or like you say, go ask the gunny in the Marine Corps to, for an ID 10 Tango form, and it's like, that spells out idiot, and, and they'd go get in trouble, and that was great.
Yes, yes. Or I remember my TIs at basic, they would get everybody with your ribbons on upside down, because there's no way to like put it on upside down. Like it
Right.
looks the
It's
same,
symmetrical.
so,
It's awesome.
but you're so scared of that, be like, oh my God, I did something wrong
Yeah.
again. So, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been so much fun talking to you. Can you tell everybody listening and watching where they can learn more about you and Bunker Labs?
Sure. Bunkerlabs.org. You can learn everything about Bunker there. And then for me, just LinkedIn, Nick Bradfield, and happy to help however I can. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you so much for everybody being here today. Thank you to Self for supporting the show and for the work they do to help others build credit and savings. You can learn more at self.inc. And you can find the links to find and follow me, Bunker Labs, and Self on social media in the description below. Don't forget, you can still register for my giveaway this week. Please stay tuned for Live with Lacey on Monday, when I will be talking to fellow Air Force veteran even, and accredited financial counselor, Dr. Ann James from Financial Battle Buddies. I appreciate you watching it, and I will see you on Monday.